All right, y'all, I have one last video on solving systems. This one is for systems of inequalities. If you are trying to look for a system of equations, there should be those 3 videos on my YouTube channel, or on Canvas. Okay, so here we have a system of inequalities. So this is different than a system of equations because we don't have, instead of equal signs here, we have inequalities. But we're gonna graph them in very much the same way. So remember, with graphing, we have y equals mx plus b. It's called slope-intercept form, and that's how we have learned how to graph. So if you will recall, ignore that up there. Actually, let me just do this real quick. I started this right after my other video, so let me just move all this down. Okay. If you'll recall, the M right here, right there, stands for slope. And remember that slope is equal to the rise over the run. So how much our line goes up and down, and then how much it goes side to side, right? And we're just gonna go to the right. Or to the, I don't know how it looks like on your Zoom, to the right or to the right. I don't know which way is right for you. The B represents the y-intercept. So that is where we are starting on the y-axis. Some people also call that the starting point or start value, right? So that's the point on the y-axis when x is equal to 0. On that line where we are starting our line. So for this first one right here, this y is less than negative 2x plus 5. So the slope is, remember, the number that's attached to the x. So the slope here is negative 2, but this is a problem because I need a rise and a run, and I don't see a number over a number. I just see one number. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to put that negative 2 and just put it right on top of a 1. So anytime you have just a number by itself that's not a fraction, but you need to make it a fraction, just put it over 1. Simples. Okay, so remember, slope is rise over run. So this is negative 2, negative 2. So negative 2 over 1. Since it's negative, that means my rise will be headed down. So I'm going to go down 2 and then to the right 1. And then we have positive 5 right here. That positive 5, that is my y-intercept, right? So that's where I'm starting my line. So let's go graph this line right here. And I'm going to put this line in green. So let's highlight this guy in green. So we know that those lines match up with each other. Okay, so my y-intercept again was at positive 5. So I am going to count up to 5 on my y-axis. Which one is my y-axis? Do you remember? It's this one, right? The up and down one. So that's the y-axis, that's the x-axis. So I'm going to count up to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there is 5. Okay, so that's my start value. Now my slope, as I remember, is negative 2 over 1. So down 2 and then to the right 1. So here we go. So I'm going to go down 2 and then to the right 1. Let's do that again. Down 2 and then over 1. Do that one more time. Okay, so now we have a bunch of points in a row, right? One might say in a line. Oh yeah, we're graphing a line. That makes so much sense. Okay, so y'all, we're gonna connect these with a line, but before I do that, I need to remember, is this line going to be a solid line or a dotted line? Do y'all remember this? So for a solid line, remember, if we don't have an equal sign underneath the inequality sign like that, then it's dotted, and that means it's not equal to that line. So the dotted line means not equal to. If we do have an equal sign, let me use a different color. Let's go purple. If we do have an equal sign under there, so there's that line, that extra line under the equal sign, that means we're going to be drawing a solid line. And that just means we are equal to the line. So this is just a way for us to kind of very quickly look at a graph and say, oh, equal to, not equal to. So this green line that we're looking at up here, it looks like it does not have an equal sign underneath it. So I think, and I'm going to go ahead and make a little note of this, this is going to be dotted. Actually, let me write that in green so we're all, I like it when things like match and they go together. It makes me feel better. So this is going to be a dotted line. So let's get back to our line down here, and I'm going to connect this with boop, 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 boop. Make that a dash line. This is, well, it'll work for our purposes. That's not right. You know, it's not bad. Let's go ahead and put some arrows on the end of it so we know. Okay, perfect. Now, the last thing we need to do when we are graphing inequalities is we need to shade, because we're not saying that we are equal to that line. We're saying that we are either greater than or less than that line. So in this case, it looks to me that y is less than the rest of this line. So if y is less than, that means y is going to be beneath that line, right? Since the y-axis is the up and down axis, we're looking for y values that are under the line, right? So I'm gonna use a fancy highlighter. So I'm gonna shade all the, actually, let's make it just a scotch better. I'm gonna shade all of this under the line. So, and I'm making it green to match the equation. So all of these numbers back here represent solutions to that inequality, right? These are all things that will satisfy that inequality. Y is less than 2x plus 5, okay? All right, so that's the first line done. Let's graph the next one, and let's make this one, I don't know, shall we go blue? Is that bad for colorblind people? I don't actually know. Let's go blue. I think blue is, we'll use dark blue. Okay, so again, we're gonna look at our slope. So here's our slope right here. Whoopsie. So our slope is going to be, I'm gonna go up 3 for my rise and over 5. Now I'm going up 3 since it's a positive 3, right? And then -1 is going to be my y-intercept. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph that guy. So we're starting at -1. So let's go down here to my y-axis. I'm gonna go to -1, which is right there. And then my slope was up 3 over 5, right? So here we go. I'm gonna go up 3, and then over 5. Right there's my next point. Let's do that again. Up 3, over 5. Okay, let me erase all these little counting lines. Oh no! Well, that's fine. We're just gonna have to have those counting lines. Actually, we can't have it. Y'all, this is why it's bad for me to make these videos, because man, I get so perfection-y. Let's do this, do this, do this. I just like to color, really, that's what it is. Okay, sorry, I forgot that I would have to erase everything. Okay, so now, is this line for our blue line, is it going to be solid or dotted? Let's look in here and see what we've got. So it looks to me, I have this equal sign under here, so I think this is going to be a solid line. So let's go ahead and connect this. Let me get a slightly fatter marker. Connect this with a solid line. Let me put an arrow and then do the same thing on this side. Good, good, good. And now it says y is greater. The alligator is eating the y. Here's my little alligator guy, right? He is eating the y. So that means the y is bigger. So that since my y-axis is up and down, I want all the stuff that's bigger. So I'm going to shade above the line. So let me get my fancy highlighter. This is going to be a blue. So I'm shading above the line. Okay. All right, so now what I am looking for is the solution to both inequalities. Where are both inequalities solved? And that is where the shading overlaps each other, right? Where they are both shaded. So I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt that this section over here, and I'm going to double shade it in purple, this section over here is the one that's double shaded, right? This is where the green and the blue are on top of each other. So that is my solution area. So if I asked you for a solution to this inequality, you would just find any point that is in this area right here. So for example, I don't know, this point right here, that is in this area, and that point is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that would be 3, 3 would be a solution to this set of inequalities. I could also choose, I don't know, let's choose this point right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. So that one was 7, -2. That would be a solution to this inequality because it's inside that double shaded area. Okay, so y'all, that is it. That is graphing a system of inequalities, and I believe that you should be good to go. All right, holler at me if you have any questions. Yay.